this down a little bit. We're going to try out the new tripod today. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by am I too old for this? Give people a minute or two to show up here. If anybody's going to still show up for these lives, I don't know. YouTube's a fickle, fickle beast. There we are. Look at that. It doesn't angle because well, it does angle actually. I just got to angle it from here. I think is how I do. Oh, look, it does angle. Oh, El Paso. I know El Paso. I've been there a time or two. So we're just jumping on here to go live for a few minutes, probably about 20, because at 8 o'clock Central, I do need to be live. You know, I can even level this thing, maybe. Look at that. Maybe I shouldn't even mess with it. Maybe too late to even try. Ugh. Oh, maybe not. Oh. Nope. Guess it was pretty level before. Chicago, I've been to Chicago. What's up, Patrick? Indiana, I've been there a few times. I've been like all over the place, to be honest. Sometimes it's for work, so I hadn't always been like I'm staying there hanging out. But El Paso was more of a hangout thing. I've been to Chicago for all kinds of work, man. I've been to Chicago to do some transport work. I've been to Chicago for Reptile shows, and I was in Chicago for about probably 6 or 8 weeks straight when I was in high school for work, building some furniture and things out there. So I did not drink too much yesterday. So the whole point of Is It Too Old is for those, it is a live stream. Yes, it is. For those that don't know, yesterday was my birthday, and I have turned the ripe old age. Man, I'm going to tell you all my actual age. Like, you know what I mean? It's just going to happen. Maybe a little bit more. This is a new thing. I bought the tripod a long time ago. It's my first run, so I had to buy a part to attach the phone, right? Can't say that's all right, Scott. I'll forgive you. We gave that one away. We didn't play for 20 minutes. We're probably gonna get a new coach. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. It's probably gonna happen. So that's good to know. I'll have to let you know. I've never made it to El Paso for a Reptile show. I've made it to El Paso. I've got family down that area, so we go to El Paso for that. Las Cruces area a lot, and then jumped over the border to Mexico a time or two. So. Yeah, I like that area. It's very, very pretty down there. I love the desert. The desert Southwest is probably one of my favorite areas of the country. Oh, Jojo, I'm glad you're here. I saw your post on Facebook. Maybe this will cheer you up a little bit. The timber rattlesnake shed. Now, he didn't do a perfect job, but I do have some nice big chunks for you. So I saved those. They're on top of his cage, waiting for the next time you're down here to give you some timber sheds. And for those of you that work with shed skin, I'll tell you, there is no better shed than a timber rattlesnake. The amount of color it maintains in the shed in the pattern is just out of this world. So probably the best shed you can have to work with, in my opinion, timber shed. Gaboon is also really good because it maintains a lot of the color, but timber is out of this world. So anyway, how old am I? Let's play that game. For those of you who are Patreon members already know, don't guess. The rest of you, I want you to just look at this face and tell me how old you think I am. I ain't gonna get butthurt if you think I'm older than I am. I'm not like that. I don't really care. Honestly, I probably feel older and look older than I really am because of the simple fact that, I'm not that old, Tony. Damn. Man, I should have known. I shouldn't have asked. Y'all put me in my damn 70s. I like you, Patrick. There you go. We got some really close ones on there. I haven't seen David W. on a live in a long time. I need to hit up that dude. I got his number to make sure he's doing okay. It's been a hot minute, and I want to make sure he's doing good. So I know he drives a lot with the semi. So, I can tell you I'm not in my 70s. I do not have an A or P card yet. I just turned 41. So, yeah, 41. Kind of scary, right? For this game, I don't know if that's old or young or somewhere in between. I have a feeling it's probably a little bit on the older side, but not too much. And that makes sense. I mean, we got a late start. I didn't start this in my 20s. I started this in my mid 30s. So for me to be where I'm at in 40 or 41 with, wait till I'm 51. I'm looking forward to it. So 51, I'm going to get paid to not do shit. That's a fact, Jack. That's a true story right there. Because I will be retired, right? And 40 is not bad, y'all. Like, I'm not complaining about being 40. The one thing I want to point out here, because I think the vast majority of people who get into this hobby in some way, shape, or form, maybe I shouldn't say the vast majority. I feed every snake every week. That's just, it's a good schedule to keep. I know there are some dudes preaching every other week out there, and you can do that too. I don't think either one's right or wrong. I think it's different for different species. I shouldn't say every snake. I feed every ball python once a week. My carpet pythons I keep a little more sporadic. My bloods get once a month. They get the first week of the month. We fed them once a week early on. Once they started getting their size to them, we don't want them to get too overweight. They need to be big body but not obese. They got slowed down to one really good sized meal every month. I like it once a week. I just do. 41's bingo, bango, right? It's right where I'm at. So, but let's talk. Am I too old for this? And that's kind of a catch. Obviously, I'm not. And the point I want to make to a lot of you who are watching us, you're not either, right? So, like, feels like the 30s feel like the new 50s some days. And what I mean is, and I'm a beat up 40. I'll be blunt. Okay. There are parts of me that do not work. Like, not those parts. Might have the gutter. Those parts work fine. But like my back is a disaster and has been for a while, and significantly a disaster the last couple of years. Um, so there are things that precludes me from doing it, a lot. It doesn't really stop what I'm going to do, right? I can do everything I want still. So, but I don't bend as well. I don't move as well. My fighting days are probably done, right? That sort of thing. But I have a shoulder that I tore up in school that'll never work right again because I didn't go get it fixed. I just let it heal on its own. So there's some muscle that ain't kind of knotted, be the best way to put it, I guess. And so it doesn't move all the way back. So I'm a fairly beat up 41. My knees are a little bit junky, but not that bad. I have an ankle that snaps like a cereal with milk in it, but not that bad. So yeah, now Dennis, you got me beat, man. I've been able to avoid the surgery monster and avoid the shot monster, but I take a lot of precautions to kind of keep it that way because I don't want to be cut into. I haven't been cut into since I was 3, 4. I had a hernia and they cut into me, and that was the last time anybody's opened me up. Thank God. I also have a little bit of a fear of not a fear, but I don't like going to doctors. I don't mind doctors, but I don't like going to hospitals, and I don't want to be shut down. I don't want to be stuck in there. Like, that's what bothers me. So anyway, it isn't too old to start though. If you're my age or a little younger, or a little older than me, have you missed a boat? The answer is no. I think a lot of people get into this very similar to how I did, and that's going to be they're going to get into it as a hobby. There are dudes who sit down and get into this, and some of them last. Yeah, I was 3 or 4 when I had a hernia. I would show you the scar if the scar's almost gone now, but I can remember my teenage years. It was really funny, like a railroad track, because the stitches look so far apart because I was so little when I had it. But you weren't seeing that scar unless yeah, it was pretty close to some man parts. So, but yeah, I was really young when I had it. I might have been a little older. I don't remember it. I knew I had the scar. I was like, what the hell is this from? And that's what it was from. It was a surgery for a hernia when I was very, very young. So, you do, Martin Exotics, and that's very true. And there are dudes who get into this, and they get into it solely as they wake up one day. I don't know. It's not me, so I can't really tell you what they think. And they think this is going to be a business I'm going to get into, And well, there you go, Tristan. Together, hernia bros. And they decide to just go into it like full fledged, and they may go out and do a business loan. They may go do all this, and they may go through it 100%, or they're going to finance it through some other way, or there are some people who decide to make it a business and have some financing come in. And I'm not begrudging that. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. That wasn't me. Wasn't my situation for a couple of reasons, a multitude of them actually. But I think there are others like me that maybe they just want to do it as a hobby and let it grow on its own and see where it goes. Honestly, guys, I wasn't supposed to be doing this. I wasn't supposed to be retiring from my job when I'm going to retire, which is Not this July, but next July. That's already submitted paperwork. June of 2023 is my last month of work at the police, at my day job, I should say, at my main day job. And then I'll have a very, very flexible job that I've picked up and learned how to do, and I'm still learning on, and I'll have this. That's the two things I'm going to have. That's it. That wasn't supposed to happen uh, until I was in my 50s. True story. Because I can collect my retirement at 50. So I first decided to make this a business. It's kind of like, well, I can do it for now. I can grow it up. And then when I'm 50, it'll supplement my retirement income. I don't really need to be very big. So when I first got in, that was my mindset. You know what I mean? So yeah, it wasn't like, I know kids doing this. You can do it at any age. That's the thing about it. But I don't want people to get discouraged like they missed a boat. And I didn't have a big investor. I've never had a large investor, I guess. I mean, the closest thing you could say I had to a large investor was I did take a loan to buy real estate, which is what I'm setting in now. I mean, this is a business owned property. And with doing that, I took the loan. It was a situation that needed to be dealt with fairly quickly to get this secured with the situation that came up. And so I moved on it fast. I didn't have time to shop the loan. I had to get shit done. And that meant I was going to get completely hosed on an interest rate, which I knew. So then I took that and I sold that later on to basically traded that, move that debt so I have a better interest rate. And it ended up going with a private investor on that, who was making profit on me. Like I'm paying them extra money to pay this place off. So it was good for me and good for them. But in the end of the day, like there wasn't somebody who's like, hey, here's 40,000, go start your business, or I'm gonna go take 40,000 in capital and go start my business. And there wasn't anything like that. I didn't have any family who was gonna back it. I didn't have any of that kind of stuff. It just kind of grew naturally. And I want you to think about it. If you really look, my first and I double checked my records because I got some weird writing on one I just misprinted. My first clutch was in 2015, clutch number 1, right? And this is 2022, and we just got into 2022. So I had my first clutch less than 7 years ago. Okay, and that year, I want to say we did 2 or 3 clutches. So, with that, to be where I'm at now with zero debt and being able to maintain my other work and things I also like to do and wanted to do, it's been phenomenal, right? It's been phenomenal. And my point that I want to share is even at 41, if I would have started this now and had to wait this long to get where I'm at, I would still be young enough to have plenty of time to do this. So anybody who's on the fence about it, if you're in that point where you're in a hobby especially, and you're thinking, well, maybe this could be more than that, it can. That's what I want to tell you. You can certainly do that. You can certainly go for it. And you don't have to go into major debt to do it. Doesn't mean you can't do that. I don't care what you do. It's your choice on how you handle things. I'm just telling you my experience, and hopefully that my experience will give somebody else the confidence that they can go forth and do as well, no matter whether it's a big investment or not. So, and Matt's one of our supporters there, says, I have a baby female butter spider. I got her on December 2021, and she still has never struck at food or attempted to eat her own. I've had to assist feed it every time. Any advice? Now, I think I saw a comment from you on one of our channels, like one of our videos too. I think I tried to answer a little bit there. I'll answer it again here. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be crossing 2 wires. Is why I wanted to bring that up. If I remember right, when you got that snake, it was weighing in the 70s, correct? Let me know if that's right, because if that's right, then I'm gonna make a statement here, and it's not your fault at all, but it's one of the things that's a pet peeve of mine. And as y'all get into business, it's one of them types of things. So while I wait on that, some of the things you can try. I also think that it was 75 grams now. Perfect. And if that remembers too, I think you were using, what was it when you got it too? That's, I guess, what I really want to know. When you received that snake, was it probably lighter than that if you've been getting food in it? If you're assist feeding it and it's taking it, that's a good sign. As long as I'm getting meat in them when I'm assist feeding them, I don't force it every week. Okay, I will kind of do every other week and try to get them to feed on their own in between. So that is one thing I will do. I'll get to that turtle here in a second. What's up, Corey? But I also think, oh, and did they ship that thing at 58 grams or did you get it at a show? Not that it's going to make much difference what I'm about to say. But I also think that, which means you're getting good weight on it, which is a good sign. So I think you're on the right track. I want to say that right now. If it's pooping and doing fine and you're getting weight in it, I just paired a bunch of them up here, something around in there. You may just be a little bit in for a kind of a long haul. But try live. I also think LLL Reptile. Okay. I'm going to make a comment on that here in just 2 seconds, I promise. Try to find a live food source if you can. And another thing you can try is like a very, very small meal. I mean, you're talking about a pretty small snake, 70 grams, 75 grams. It should be eating like rat pinks by now, or even something that's starting to get a little bit of that gray color to it, right? And that's, and Martin's on right on, live is going to be great for babies. But if you can get like something like a mouse, which still has its eyes closed. I know that seems tiny, but remember, what's our goal? Our goal is to get this snake to be confident enough to eat on its own, right? And so food may have scared at some point or something like that. So something like that we can put in the food in there, close the tub, and walk away for a day. Okay, just walk away for a day, come back the next day and see if it's gone. You know, it may still be there, but it ain't big enough to hurt your snake, one. And if it is still there, then you can dispatch it and assist feed it or whatever you want to do. Number two is, and I use all of that actually. And number two thing is you might find it might be dead in the water dish, which is always sucks, and you got to change that. But the rat, not the snake. But that's what I would suggest to see if you can get it going, and that would be the best way to do that. It isn't much food, teeny tiny little amount of food, right? But it will get things going the right direction if you can start getting them eating on their own. So that's what I would do. And then what I was going to say on that, and shame on Triple L Reptile, there is no damn reason to ever ship a snake at 58 grams. As a breeder, that's horrible practice. I know it gets done. I don't like seeing anything shipped below 80. Typically, it's heavier than that when I ship it. And yeah, it's just, and the reason for that is when a snake is that small. I've got a snake right now that has fought me. It's fought me off and on. I haven't got up to size yet. And I'll be honest, man, it's well over $1,000 snake. And I could sit there and I could push that snake out the door and I could sell that snake today and I could put that money in my damn pocket and let it be somebody else's problem, right? That's not right to do. That's not the way I want to do business. So, and I'll get to that turtle, I promise. But I just think that snake should have never been shipped to you. Like that's on them. I have a lot of things born over 58 grams. It may have never eaten before shipping, and that's horrible. And even if they did get a few meals in it, because I've also had snakes born at like very, very small, that would have been like 6 meals. Rarely. I mean, you get one in a small egg that's 32 grams. But at the end of the day, I still wouldn't have shipped that snake. That thing needs to be a minimum of 80, a minimum. Somebody mentioned 100, 100's even a little bit better size is always good. So I would also, man, I would contact them. I'd be like, hey, man, what the fuck? This is what you sent me, and this is the problems I'm having. And tell them straight up that shouldn't happen. They should not be doing that. Now on to the question about, is it possible for a ball python to never go on a hunger strike? Absolutely. I think personally, the more you keep, the more hunger strikes you have. And that comes down to 2 reasons. One, when you have a room like this, get a bunch of snakes in it, there's more and more pheromones kicking on. It's like a junior high dance in here, okay? So that's going to cause more feeding issues at times, more breeding issues. Everything is going to be amplified. It just is. Also, when I only have 1 or 2 snakes, I intimately know those snakes better. And what I mean by that is I know what each one likes. I know how to get each one to eat and everything else, right? And so I think when you only have a handful of snakes, you tend to have less missed feeds. Whereas with us, it's assembly line. If that one doesn't like what it gets, sucks to be you. Figure it out next time. With the only exception of that being the babies, where we do have some we have to assist and things like that. So I've got one I'm assisting now. For the record, in case you're all wondering what I'm talking about, it's I think it's a Mardi Gras, maybe a pastel Mardi Gras I'm working with. And it just says fought me. So, and starting with ASF is not a bad idea either. ASF is a natural food source, so you can't go wrong with it. Some people tell you get stuck on ASF, but I haven't really had that experience, and so yeah, and that's the thing. So Matt, that one, you got it 60 grams, it fed well, it did right, everything was kosher, but a lot of times when the snake's that light, and then you add that stress, there's just no room for error, and they shouldn't be shipping at that size. They're a big company, and they don't care, and that's on them. Like, they should not be doing that. And I've had a few instances, and I'm not gonna drop names because I don't want somebody to take this the wrong way. But like, I had one snake, I knew when I bought it never had a feed. And it was from a reputable source. But they told me walking up, I was wanting that snake. We got it. We didn't really plan on selling it. We were just kind of showing it. But if you want to buy it, hey, we know you. We'll go ahead and sell it to you. But if it doesn't feed, or if you have problems, call us. We're going to take care of it. Right? That's different. And that was when I bought really small. It wasn't one that went in a box and got shipped to me. And and it was somebody's going to stand behind the product. So it was a good sale, even though it was small. And on that, Rob, I'm not sure. I do think they produce some of their own, but I do think they also buy in bulk. But that still doesn't make it better. If you're going to flip, and used to be we had these things called reptile flippers. It's a term I don't hear as much anymore. They still exist. And yeah, and I agree. I've never had a problem switching from ASF, but some people can't get ASF. Yeah, in California, ain't happening. Here in Kansas, yeah, we can get you ASF, no problem. But what I was getting to on the flippers, right? What, flip them? Yeah. And flipping a reptile in and of itself isn't always bad. If you're in this industry long enough, you are going to flip a reptile. It's going to happen. Those that don't know what I'm talking about, flipping is where you take an animal in and then you're just to resell it. Okay? And no intent on anything else. You're just flipping it. A lot of times to make a profit. Where you're going to see a small breeder like me run a flip or something like that is not going to be that. Okay, I got about 10 minutes as a course of normalcy, and I'm going to tell people straight up, you can tell if I produced an animal or not because mine come with a serial number. But I may buy a collection from somebody that's getting out that has like 10 snakes I want, and I may buy all 10 as a package deal, and I may only want 4 or 5 of them. So I'm going to take those other 5 or 6 and I'm going to sell them. But what am I going to do with those in the meantime? Well, one, if I have people I know looking for something that know what it is, like local, like my buddy Jeff or something like that, I may call them up, like right what I'm doing, like, hey, this is what I'm getting. You want any of these? He may just get them from the first day or something like that. But if I'm going to sell them out, I'm going to put them, I'm going to keep them for a while. I'm going to ensure they're healthy. I'm going to ensure they're mite-free, no matter how they came. I'm going to do all of those things before I sell. Because at the end of the day, the animal's leaving with my name on it, even though I didn't produce it. So I want to make sure that it is healthy. And I'm going to sit on it for a while. And if you do that, then flipping an animal ain't a bad thing. When your whole business model is buying and reselling as quick as you possibly can, that's not a good model. And I have personally been at shows and watched people buy animals over here and at 20 minutes later have them on their table for sale. I've seen it. It's happened. Because they think, well, that price is low. I'll just buy it, put it over here and sell it and flip it. Or they'll have it the very next week for sale. And that's a problem. That's the kind of person I think you want to avoid. And if somebody's selling you an animal they didn't produce, they should be upfront with that. And even LL reptiles, it ain't that hard. They could simply put on there, produced an LLL. Although I also think some people say that when they're lying. So anyway. Yeah, and I've also heard of some of that and that's the thing too. When you get to be, and if you guys read what he wrote, he's talking about that he's got the wrong turtle from LLL. I think I've heard of other people from other sources getting like the wrong croc, things like that when they bought. And I'm also a firm believer, like it's okay to deal in multiple things, but I don't want to deal in everything because I can't possibly know enough about everything. I'm not a turtle expert, right? So I'm not going to deal in turtles. Like, I'm just not going to do it. But ball pythons, hey, if I sell you the wrong thing, there's a reason why I did it. Like, there's a reason why I missed it. And usually you're getting better than I told you. And I can stand behind it and I can trust my confidence in what I'm doing. Same with rattlesnakes, man. I feel good with my westerns. I know what I'm getting into, what I'm doing. Same with my carpets. I know what I got. Uh, but I'm not going to get into flipping turtles because I mean, I wouldn't know what I was buying. I'm having to take somebody's word and then flipping it, and you're just going to run into problems. But there are a lot of people out there, that just are full time flippers, man. They are, and they're. I'm going to say it. I'm going to get some shit for it. I think Dennis already wrote it. They're bad for the hobby. They are. They're terrible for the hobby. What's going on, DA Exotics? We're talking a little bit about flippers before I have to go and do my Patreon live because we are doing one of our monthly specials, which we do every month. I can't tell you what it is this month, right? Yeah, and that's the other thing too, man. Some of those places are a equipment store and a feeder store. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, LL's been around a long time. They're doing some things right. Shipping a snake at 58 grams just isn't one of them. That's not, and that's not on you. I want to be clear. I'm not saying you made a bad decision. I mean, you found a snake you liked and you bought it, right? That is awesome. That's what you're supposed to do. But you would expect the seller who you're buying from, what's going on, Jeremiah, to send you a healthy animal of adequate size. And so they failed on their end to hold up their bargain. Now, if we can get that thing feeding for you and it gets all through, then, hey, no harm, no foul. Just, now if you deal with them that they're prone to do that. But I would be in contact with them because, just say, hey, this is what's going on. This is why. And I don't think LL even lists their weights on there. They usually have one of those. They'll have a picture. They'll say like, picture may not be the exact snake, things like that. But and if you contact a seller like that and you can verify you've had problems, they should stand behind their product, even if it ain't their fault. Case in point, when we ship a snake out of here, which we don't do as much as I'd like because of weather, but we're getting almost to good weather, right? So when we ship a snake out of here, and it goes to wherever, if somebody's picking it up at facility, we always guarantee a live arrival. We always say at facility we guarantee a live arrival. If they get it, like if I text them when they're live, so I look when it gets the arrival, hey, snake's there, like, yep, I got it. I'm gonna guarantee that too. It sits outside for 8 hours in the beating sun. Not my problem. I can't, really do that, right? And I get why Will Banks does that to some extent. Will Banks has about 10,000 snakes or something like that. It is what it is, right? But my point being is, if somebody contacts me and says, hey, I got the animal received and it was deceased or whatever, I'm going to have them send me a picture just to verify. And sometimes I want to see what happened. And even if it ain't my fault, like FedEx dropped the box or played soccer with it in the front lot or whatever the hell they did, or FedEx took 2 days to get it there because they're stupid on that every now and then. And you know what? I'm going to return their money, or I'm going to replace the snake, whichever one I can do that they want. Sometimes I can do either one if I have another one. And I'm going to cover that shipping cost, right? Because that shipping cost isn't my customer's fault. It's mine. So then I'm going to cover that. Even though it ain't my fault, it's actually FedEx's. I'm still going to cover that cost back to them. They should not be out a dime for that happening. The customer shouldn't. So, yeah, and he does have a crap ton. And I mean, so like I say, I don't know if he always does that or not. Somebody just mentioned he doesn't always use the same photo, but it's like I say, he's got a crap ton. He's a full-time operation. He's an old dog at it. All right, y'all. I do have to be jumping off here because I got to reset this and start a new live. And he puts a statement. Okay, that could be fair, but I'm trying to think if I ever bought from Will Banks. Fuck, I can't remember. How sad is that? A lot of people, sold to a lot of people. But anyway, and when you get those guys too, let's hit those dudes for a minute. Your Will Bankses, and somebody mentioned Barcheck earlier. Them dudes, I mean, you can mention a handful of them. Will Banks, JKR is probably there. Nerd from New England is definitely there. Barcheck, there's a guy in Oklahoma, Bob something, his name's escaping me right now. Them guys. It's not just your bigger breeders I'm talking about. I mean, because otherwise I wouldn't have said Justin's probably there. It's your guys who have been in it for a long ass time. and or large. Bob Clark, thank you, Bob Clark. They've been in it forever. It doesn't mean that they're the best, but it usually does mean that they're doing some shit right, and that they are also more than likely going to stand behind their product. So, you know, those names that have stood the test of time are typically names that, to be honest, I tend to trust quicker than a name that I don't know, or even like somebody like me who's been in it for 5 years. I mean, 5 years, 7 years, I guess, if we want to say 15 to 22, and producing my first snake is a far cry from 1992, like somebody just wrote. So you can trust those guys, even if the picture isn't the exact same. The homework's kind of already been done. Ozzy's another good one. I forgot about Ozzy. That's a great example. You know, I mean, the market's blown up in the last 7, 8, 9 years, 10 years. But you have some dudes who were in there before it blew up and have established that, and their reputation is there for a reason. You know, and sometimes they're going to get some flack. Usually it was always Brian getting the most flack for some social media stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, and it doesn't mean they're perfect, but I trust that those folks are going to stand behind what they do. And, you know, without a lot of fight. But then you got some companies like Triple L Reptiles, and there's a few others out there who will do some shady shit still. It's crazy. I don't know how some of them made it that long. So, all right, you guys, it is 2 minutes till 8. So I just wanted to come on here and say thank you guys. And Bob mainly does do a lot of retics now. He does do some ball python still, last I knew. Always been kind of a retic guy. He was the first one to make the lavender retics. I'll never forget seeing the first lavender retics produced by Bob Clark in Reptiles magazine when I was a kid. And it blew my mind. Like, honest to God, that planted the seed for what I'm doing now is Bob Clark did. And he probably doesn't know my damn name, but he did plant a seed to create me from reading that article when I was a kid, which is kind of crazy when you stop thinking about it. But I do have to get off of here because it is time to go to Patreon, and I got to get that to him. We do a sale once a month, and today is the day because it's the last day of the month. So I was kind of going slow, right? Because it's my birthday, and I might have been imbibing in adult beverages. Not so much last night, actually. Last night was pretty well behaved. The night before. Last night I got to go visit my uncle for dinner and hang out with some family I don't get to see very often, and that was also really wonderful. So, and I also want to give you all some confidence. 41, still rocking ass, and if I can do this, you can do it. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a good night.